Hi Whovians, Harry here, and welcome to my breakdown of the second episode of the second series of Doctor Who Redacted, the episode Apex. And this episode is amazing. Now, I already did a breakdown of the first episode of Doctor Who Redacted Series 2, so check that out if you haven't already, because I did a recap of what Doctor Who Redacted Series 1 was, which I actually did a full breakdown of that whole series as well. So go check that out if you want an even more in-depth detail of each, of a breakdown of each episode. But if you just want a quick recap of that, is the last video on which I did about Doctor Who Redacted. However, this episode is about the second episode of Doctor Who Redacted, the episode Apex. And it gets this title because we meet a character called Apex. But before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe, also leave a like and comment down below, and let's get into the video. So, as I said, this episode is about a character called Apex. And basically, let's just get into it, because this episode picks up where the last episode left off, with giant rats advancing on Cleo. Now, this, however, sets up Apex, because he turns up as these rats are advancing on Cleo, because he knew that Cleo would be there. As last episode, Cleo was trying to contact the Doctor, but somehow Cleo's messages went to Apex, as Apex has been monitoring lines that could connect to the Doctor. Unfortunately, Apex saves Cleo by transporting himself and Cleo away from the rats by using a space manipulator, which is like a vortex manipulator. However, it means that the wearer of this space manipulator can only travel through space and not time, hence the name Space Manipulator. And of course, we've seen vortex manipulators worn before by fan favourite characters of River Song and Captain Jack Harkness. However, this is basically the same but can only travel through space. And at first, Cleo thinks that Apex is the Doctor, asking if he has transitioned again. And Cleo being trans makes sense why she would use the word transitioned to describe regeneration. And also, during this time, but unknown to Cleo, the Doctor has actually undergone regeneration, as the last Doctor she encountered was the 13th Doctor, and of course, 13 regenerated in the episode The Power of the Doctor. And Apex actually corrects Cleo, telling her that he is not the Doctor, he is called Apex Costa, who is a Intergalactic Census Bureau agent, or ICBA for short. And we get this really funny scene where happy music suddenly starts playing as Apex explains his day as an ICBA, as we learn that when he's working for the Intergalactic Census Bureau, that he is looking for the Doctor, and we hear, well, him go about his day through the ICBA and basically what he does during his time as an agent, and we hear him ask someone if they've seen the Doctor before, and he actually pulls out a couple of different photos of the Doctor's faces. And this is something we've seen before, which we saw River Song do in the episodes The Husbands of River Song, where she was looking for the Doctor. However, it was out of date as she didn't have 12's face. However, I think Apex is in date. We only get a few mentions of different Doctors. And of course, this is a audio only show, so we can't see which Doctors he all goes through. So it could only be up to the 13th Doctor, but it could be more expansive, because we get a couple of references of men, so it could be any Doctor apart from 13 and also the Fugitive Doctor. But we also get a mention of a Doctor wearing a scarf, so this must be the 4th Doctor, and the other photo that we get a mention of who it could be. And Apex also says that they could be a woman, meaning this must be the 13th Doctor, or I suppose it could be the Fugitive Doctor, but again, I don't know if they would have pre-Hartnell Doctors in their catalogue of who the Doctor is, because the Timeless Child is just, again, a weird concept to keep track with. But moving on past that, Apex says that his job takes him everywhere, including other universes. And of course, we've seen other universes in Doctor Who before. Most recently in Series 13, or Flux, where the Doctor's real mum, Tecteun, wanted to take the Doctor to another universe. But of course, we've seen universes before there. Just think back to Series 2 and Pete's World. However, moving on past that, Apex says that he is now on Earth for this mission, and he calls Earth Soul Free. Now, Earth has been called Soul Free before, most notably in the episodes The Deadly Assassin, The Invasion of Time, and The Voyage of the Damned. So again, some really good continuity there. And as we cut out of Apex talking about his day as an agent of the ICB, we find out that he has turned up because, of course, when he was tracking everything about the Doctor, but by Cleo telling him that she was going to track down giant rats, Apex has turned up with a plan to stop these giant rats. And we learn that Apex's plan is to stop the rats by using a wave distorter, which is basically, as Cleo so describes it, a magic flute. Which, and Apex basically says, yeah, and he reveals that the Doctor used the same trick once with rats in Hamelin, which this episode implies that the Doctor is the origin for the Pied Piper. However, this is a retcon, as in the Sarah Jane Adventures episodes, The Day of the Clown, Odd Bob revealed that he was the Pied Piper, or the origin for the Pied Piper. So, this is a retcon because, it has been revealed before that the Doctor wasn't the Pied Piper. However, this episode implies that the Doctor was. However, I'm going to let this slide because Doctor Who Redacted is normally so good with continuity. So I'll give them a pass on this one, but this is a retcon, which is just a bit weird as this series is normally so good with continuity, as I just said. So moving on past that, Cleo asks Apex what the giant rats are, to which Apex reveals that they are actually just normal rats, but have mutated due to alien chemicals. And Apex also states that the same thing happened a few years ago with spiders, which is a reference to the episode Arachnids in the UK, when normal spiders mutated into giant spiders, just like these rats have mutated into giant rats. However, suddenly, to build tension, the wave distorter stops working, even though Apex states it should never run out. And this is a reference to Martha Jones saying that when she tried getting in contact with the Doctor in the episode Stolen Earth with her phone, that the Doctor juiced it up for her and it works across the galaxy and galaxies to get in contact with wherever she wants. However, the phone doesn't work and she can't get in contact with the Doctor, just like how this wave distorter suddenly stops working. And with that, the giant rats start to attack them again. Fortunately though, Apex gets it to work, saving them. And after dealing with the giant rats, which Cleo and also Apex are glad of by trapping them on this barge where Apex says that he has people that can take them away and deal with them, Apex says that Soul Free, which of course is Earth, is nothing like he has heard it was, which he heard people say that it was filled with savages, which is actually a reference to what Mr. Copper called humans in the episode Voyage of the Damned, where Earth was also called Soul Free. Again, just some great continuity from Doctor Who Redacted. However, Cleo wants to learn about Apex, of course, because how did he turn up there? How does he have all this stuff? So she takes him to a cafe, giving him a cup of tea, saying it will change your life, referencing how a cup of tea allowed the 10th Doctor to stabilise his regeneration in the episode The Christmas Invasion, when he had regenerated from 9 and something had gone wrong with the regeneration. However, a cup of tea allowed him to stabilise his regeneration and complete the transition. And whilst talking to Apex, he says that he's listened to all their podcast episodes, just like how the 13th Doctor said that she had in Series 1 of Doctor Who Redacted. And through this, Apex also confirms that he was able to find Cleo through her line to the Doctor. And he goes on to tell her that he is looking up the Doctor because Time Lords are an endangered species, that if the Doctor dies, that could be the end of Time Lords, which is probably a reference to the Master's destruction of Gallifrey and the conversion of Time Lords into Cybermasters in Series 12. It could also be referencing the Time War, but I think it's referencing the Master's destruction of Gallifrey and the conversion of Time Lords. However, Cleo asks Apex if he can travel through time to find the Doctor, why doesn't he just do that? However, Apex reveals that he can't follow the Doctor through time as his birth planet is called the Origin, which according to Apex is the first planet that time started on, which raises a couple of questions of why we've never encountered the Origin planet before, and the place where time started, even though we saw time was a different planet. But again, it's just kind of weird. You can never have like a straight line in Doctor Who. In the Doctor Who universe, to quote the 10th Doctor, time is more like a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. And as Apex's planet was the first planet and the planet that time started on, he explains that without his species and planet, time is meaningless, even for a Time Lord, so his species can only move through space, not time, explaining why he has a space manipulator, but not a vortex manipulator. And Apex explains that, the reason why he can't travel through time is because his species are strict on time, and that is really important. And he actually drops the fact that the year is 17,112,432,201. And upon hearing this, Cleo says that it's 2023, to which Apex laughs and goes, that is really not. It is. We are over 17 billion years. And upon hearing this confirmation, Cleo asks Apex, why do you look like a human then? To which Apex replies that humans actually look like his species, referencing how when a companion asks the Doctor why they look like a human, and the Doctor says that humans actually look Time Lord, like in the episode Rose, where Rose asked the 9th Doctor why he looked like a human, and he replied, humans look Time Lord, which Apex is saying the same knowledge here that applies to his species. But of course, Apex also wants some answers, and he asks Cleo how she knows of the Doctor, and Cleo tells Apex that she thinks they're destiny, referencing how the 14th Doctor has said multiple times in the 60th anniversary trailers that destiny is heading for Donna Noble.
I don't believe in destiny, but if destiny exists, then it is heading for Donna Noble.
So Cleo supposes that her and the Doctor are destined to be together, just like how the 14th Doctor is saying that him and Donna are destined to be together, or something applying to destiny is heading for Donna Noble. And Cleo explains that she has met the Doctor not one, but 2 times. So Cleo explains that the first time she met the Doctor was the day her dad died, but the Doctor managed to save her. Now, of course, I may go more in depth of when this time is in my Doctor Who Redacted Salvation breakdown, But just going over it quickly, the first time she met the Doctor was when the Doctor was in his 10th form and he saved her from the Red Hatching, which took place right after the events of Blink, again which we learned about in the episode Salvation. But if you want more in-depth details, go check out that breakdown. And next time she met the Doctor was the 13th Doctor, where she and 13 stopped the redacted virus, of course referencing the events of the episode Salvation. And Apex explains that Time Lords have an ability to change their body called regeneration, of course giving Cleo some backstory on how the 10th Doctor could change from the 13th Doctor, even though the 13th Doctor quickly gave her an explanation of regeneration in the episode Salvation. And Apex actually says that everything changes in their body on a cellular level. And this is a reference to how 9 said every cell in his body was dying in parting of the ways, and how 10 said he would become a completely new man in the episode The End of Time Part 1 and Part 2, how basically every cell in their body changes when they regenerate. However, we now meet up with Abby and Shawna, as last episode they were on their way to find Archie Ball, who is the leader of Torchwood 2, or he is probably the sole member of Torchwood 2 now. And this is the guy that Morag said to track down if they wanted to know what was in the Torchwood archive, but before Torchwood House became open to the public and they moved the Torchwood archive. And if you want to know what is going on about the Torchwood archive, check out my breakdown that I did of the first episode of Doctor Who Redacted Series 1, which I will link up in the cards above. So check that out. And in this episode, again, it is revealed that Archie Ball is the leader of Torchwood 2, which was the Glasgow branch, and he was born around 1861. And as Abby states, in 1897, he lived in Torchwood House. And Abby and Shawna deduce from this that Archie must be about 126. However, that is only from the time that he started living in Torchwood House. He is more like actually 162, so just actually swap around the last two numbers. I think that's just pretty funny. But yes, Abby and Shawna think that he is at least 126, but he is probably more like 162. And as I went over in the last episode, the reason why Archie is still alive in 2023 is that in 1899, the Life Stealer stole his life force and rapidly aged him. However, in exchange for being rapidly aged, he lived for over a century, which is why he's still alive in the 21st century. And they soon find out that Archie Ball has been admitted to hospital. And this was because he was found in a little car park, totally catatonic, which means that he was not moving. It was almost like he was dead to the world. And Abby wonders if it could be another virus, of course referencing the events from Series 1 of Doctor Who Redacted. So they managed to gain admittance to Archie's room by telling them that they're his grandchildren, which you think they would have asked for some ID, but it seemed that they were just glad that Archie had some visitors because he didn't seem to have some visitors. And if he was born in the 19th century, this makes sense, as all his friends would be dead. If he had a girlfriend, she would be dead. If he had kids, they would be dead, so it explains why he doesn't have any visitors. However, moving past that, we find out that there is something inside Archie, some kind of alien, and basically it could be a parasite. And this could be the same alien parasite that was inside Katie, who was Owen Harper's fiancée. Of course, Owen Harper being part of the Torchwood 3 branch, the Cardiff branch that we saw in, of course, the spin-off Torchwood before his death in 2008. Spoiler alert, yes, I know I'm a bit late with that, but yeah. Owen Harper died, and his fiancée, Katie, before he joined Torchwood 3 had an alien parasite inside her that killed her, and thus led Owen Harper to join Torchwood 3 to track down and stop aliens from something like this ever happening again. However, I am even more uncertain if this is the same alien, as it breaks out to attack Abby and Shawna. And they're like, oh, well, we can't let it escape to anywhere else in the hospital and kill anyone else. So they set off the fire alarm, hinting at how they defeat it in the next episode. And unfortunately, it causes the alien to break out of the hospital, which is bad. And next, we see that Abby and Shawna head to a sound studio, which is Torchwood 2's base, as the keys were in Archie's bag, and he was kind of pointing at his bag while they were talking to him. And of course, the keys were in Archie's bag, which led to them to the sound studio, of course being Torchwood's space. And it is filled with alien artifacts, including a dormant autumn hand, which references the previous episode of Doctor Who Redacted Series 2, the episode Regrets, where Rani revealed that they've actually done an episode on autumns. And with it being an autumn hand, it could also be a reference to the autumn arm that Nine pulled off an autumn in the episode Rose, and it kept reappearing in the episode Rose, attacking the Doctor, Mickey, and Rose. However, this isn't it for alien artifacts and references to past Doctor Who episodes, because they also see a werewolf tooth, which may be the tooth of the werewolf from the episode Tooth and Claw, which was also the same episode where Queen Victoria set up the Torchwood Institute to deal with aliens. And looking around everywhere else, Abby and Shawna see that the place has been ransacked, and they remember that the same thing had happened to Torchwood House. So someone is searching for something that Torchwood has, and that is insanely bad, because Torchwood has lots of alien artifacts and alien, possibly weaponry, that they have found throughout their adventures. However, we find out that what someone was looking for was folders that are labelled Miscellaneous Doctor Activity. And they found these folders because all these folders are empty. And that is so bad. However, something that could be even worse is the close of this episode, where we rejoin Cleo and Apex, and there is a drone that breaks into the cafe they are in, and the lady Honor Bray, who is the person that sent this drone, is after Apex. And something insane happens. The drone fires, hitting Apex, incapacitating him, but keeping him conscious for questioning, as the drone asks them to submit or face consequences. And then the episode ends, and this episode was insane. There are so many more references to Torchwood, there are so many more references to what Apex is, and the close of this episode is again an excellent cliffhanger, and I just think this episode is amazing. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. What do you think of this episode of Doctor Who Redacted Apex? What do you think of it? And I don't know, this was just amazing. I found so many more hidden details about especially Torchwood, and it was just all amazing. And also, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, also subscribe and share it out, and I will see you in the next one.